Hi, my name is Todd Lamley, and welcome back to CCI Security version 5 Technologies, Firepower Threat Defense. In this section, I'm going to show you how to install Firepower Threat Defense, or FTD, on Cisco 5500X ASAs. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to find these files, right? So we need two files. And here's what I did. I went here, and let me start at the beginning because like I did with the FMC, we kind of got to find it. Sometimes they're a little challenging to find the actual files. So logged in, come into software.cisco.com, log in, scroll down here to security, Charlie 2. There we go. Security, firewalls. Now, we did firewall management to get our FMCs. And now we're going to do next generation firewalls to get our software for either, here's our 2100, 4100s, 9300s, they come 9000 series. But what we want right here is the 5500X. Now, when you look at this, I didn't want to click at this at first because it said Firepower with a capital power, assuming ASA with Firepower services. And that's not what we use anymore. And then it comes up here and you see all basically the 5500 series. Now we can put FTD on all these boxes except the 5585s. Those are end of life. You can run ASA with Firepower on them, but not Firepower Threat Defense. Now, if we look here, the 55, 25, 45, 55, these are great boxes, powerful boxes. They have the nitrox decryption chip in them. Awesome box. If you have those, they'll run FTD great. The 12 and 15, I wouldn't anymore. I mean, you could for like home use lab and stuff or as a transition. The 16 is good. I use them for a lot of my smaller companies, like 500 users. The 5506, I believe it or not, I have customers with thousands of them. Bread companies, I've got oil companies, and they've got thousands of 5506 because they only have a couple users. So we put FTD on them and they absolutely work. You would just have to have half a dozen users or less. So once we come here and I clicked, I didn't even mention it. Let me go back one here. Got all into the ASA types, the Firepower Threat Defense software here. So we hit our 5500X, the version that we wanted, and Firepower Threat Defense. I had to digress there for a second. Anyway, 6232, 6231, as we know, we looked at the FMCs. They are patches. The main release here is 623. And what we need here, guys, to get to FTD on our ASA 5500Xs is this boot image and then the package, the install package. So we need these two files. Okay, so if I come back here and take a look, not that way, this way, not that way either, this way. Here is my TFTP server. And notice I put the boot file in. Now this is, I can get to this server from my vCenter or from my FTD boxes and my vCenter, right? We're all in the management VLAN. So here's my boot file. Here's my PKG file in the FTP root, right? So we're going to start with this file and load that and boot it up, configure it, so then we can install the FTD package on there. Now let's go this way. Now let me take a look. So here's what I did with this ASA. I rebooted it, right? And I hit escape. Just like you did get to ROM on, you've probably done that 1,000 times with your ASAs. And then I erased the disk arrow. So this thing's nothing. So let's go ahead and start with what we need to do. And notice I already, that's going to be my 190. So basically I have these in here on how to reload them. And let me paste this in here. We can talk about it. And then I'll get it going and we'll talk about it. So you do TFTP DNLD. There's nothing new here. I'm not showing you any rocket science here. We've been doing this for years with ROM-on or iOS and whatnot. So we typed in all in caps equals address netmask gateway server and the image, and there's my boot file. That's going to boot. Sometimes this crashes out or dumps out, whatever. But it looks like it's going to run, which is great. It's going to come up. It's going to reboot. Nope, it didn't. Didn't finish. So TFTP download again. You can't up arrow from ROM-on, which is unfortunate. But now this is going to do this. We're going to come back here. Notice my address. Again, just regular ROM-on stuff here. Nothing spectacular or new here that you haven't done before. So we'll come in here. We'll get those files in here. Make sure that they're reachable from my FTD boxes. We're in the same VLAN. And this is going to load. Once that loads, then we're going to configure it to be able to get to the FTP server and download the system file. So we'll just wait here for a minute and let this go. Now it's going to take probably a good 40 minutes, believe it or not, on my system file. Not this one. This one only takes a few minutes to load, and then we'll download the other file. Now, because I did two of them, because if you ever watch like baking shows or whatever, they always like, here's how it goes, and we'll put it in the oven. Oh, look, here's one that's done. Well, that's what we have here, right? I already did this one. I did the boot, and then I did the system file. And one of the things you want to look for on that system file after it loads, now we have to configure it here. So basically, the boot file's been in there. It's got the system file. If I rebooted this machine, it would come back right where it is because it's got the FTD image. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to come up here. And the thing you need to do, though, is to come back and look. Now, since 623 code, and we're probably further than that now that you're watching this, but it didn't used to be that great. In other words, we got a lot of errors on these, on the 5506s on the FTD when we upgraded them. So on that one over there, so what you want to do is come back here and look at all the databases. These are all the different databases and make sure they're okay. If you ever see a failure, I would reboot and do it again. Now that this is done over here, I'm going to type in setup. And this is going to be FTD 19. Okay, yes. Now, careful here. Most things are DHCP is not the default. In this case, it is. So we're going to be careful there. Okay, and no IPv6 and 10, 11, 250. And we'll just say no to some of this. We don't really need this right now. No, and yes on the time, though. Okay, now this is going to come back and it's going to restart, and then what we're going to do is we'll take a look at the other one and get that done while this one is finishing up here. This is going to take a while on a 5506. So on a 5515 or higher, it's a little bit faster. So notice I'm going to say, I'm going to type this in first, and then it's going to say system install FTP, your FTP info, and then the file that we downloaded, the latest package, right? FTD package. This will probably die the first time. We could have stopped that by pinging, right? It's probably just an ARP thing, but I can just upgrade and do it again, and it'll be fine. And now we're going to let this grow. Now, as this comes up, it's going to say extracting, then downloading, and after it says extracting, verifying, and downloading. Now, what you want to do here is, because you're going to walk away while this is doing it, you want to press the enter key, because it's going to come up after, well, it depends on what it is. After 5506, about 20 minutes, says, do you want to continue? Well, of course I want to continue. So what I did is I just pressed enter at that right now. Now, after this is all done, it's going to come up and reboot, right? So it's going to be a while. We'll just let that bake, and we'll pull this one out of the oven because there it is, right? So I looked through the databases. They're all good to go, right? We want to make sure, again, let me just go through that. I want to make sure I didn't see anything that said failure, no reds. We look good. We look good. All the databases are good. If you ever see one, I would just reboot and start from scratch. Okay. Oops. Try that again. Let the other one run. And this one is admin and then capital admin 123, right? Brand new box. Okay, and here we come. It should be get the the EULA here, and then password. There's the, okay, press enter, and then the Q key. Press enter, and then the password. And the password. Okay, yes. Now this one, no on IPv6, but this one now comes up and it's manual, right? It's not DHCP, so that's good. And then 10, 11, 10 dot, this one's 200, and 10, 11, 10.1. And then this one, though, FTD 20.sfgtc.local. So notice it's a fully qualified domain name. Now, again, I'll show you these if you make a mistake. If you make, how you can change it. Hold on. sfgtc.local. Whoops. So if you didn't like screw up the IP or something, I'm going to let this run for a minute. It's going to come up to the FTD prompt, and I'll show you how to change any of this stuff. We'll take a look at it. The show network command is the one you want to use to check your management. Nothing else is configured. And on here, you can do a show run. Well, you have to use the full command. There's no shortcuts in FTD. I'm going to show you how to get to the Lena code, which is our ASA code. and we can then do shortcuts from there. So here we go. Now manage the, careful here, the no should be the default. Manage the device locally means Firepower Device Manager, FDM, like you needed another acronym, right? FDM. That said, it's kind of like the new ASDM per se, that you can manage a device. It's not CSM, right? In the sense of it's only for a single device, FDM. I recommend doing the FMC, right? What we're using over here, my FMC up here, because I can manage, well, with a virtual FMC, it's supposedly up to 25. I wouldn't do that, but you can get with a 4,500, 250 boxes, right? But with this one, it's just you have a single box. It's a remote location. You don't care about it being in here, you know, a correlation of events inside the FMC. Then you have something called FDM. You would just say yes here, and then HTTPS into the IP address and open up a GUI. I don't recommend it. Notice this is real slow here. If you said yes here and press enter, you kind of get into this loop. It's kind of hard to get out of. That's why you really want to be careful here. So this will come up here in another minute. Here it goes. And this can ask me, what do I want? Firewall mode, routed or transparent. We absolutely want routed. Transparent is a layer 2 switch. You can do that. Mostly FTD boxes I put out to my customers are route layer 3 boxes, just like my ASAs, but you can run it as a layer 2 box if you'd like. Okay, so almost done here. And we can go ahead and take a look at the other one we just put in the oven here. Notice, okay, so it says extracting. I'll go ahead and press enter there again, I guess, just to make sure. And then pretty soon we would see it come up and say, do you want to continue, and so on again. We're going to say yes after that. So we'll leave that go. This one's going to be done here, hopefully. Hurry up and wait on these, right? So wait for this to come up before this ends. Nothing fast here. If this was like a 4100 or even a 5516 or 5515, it would have been a little bit faster, would have been done already. But these are great. These 5506s are great for my customers that have thousands of them, thousands of remote locations with just a few users. So they're still pretty popular, still being used. There it goes. Okay, so now it's coming up and saying, okay, so we need to register this, since we said do not register locally. You can register this to an FMC, and we would do that with the configure manager add command. So when we get back in our part 2 of this, we're going to continue on with this. We're going to verify the configuration and bring it into our FMC.